We are going to start off with a couple of introductions because we want you to know a little bit more about who we are. So I'll go. My name is Mary Altum, and I own Sound Starts Music Therapy, which is a center based music therapy practice in a suburb of Dallas, Texas. And I've been doing that for about, 7 years now. And during that time, I've gone from just being solo practitioner in my home to really transforming the business to a full team. So it's been really exciting and a great journey. And one of the things that I'm discovering is that my purpose is not just to bring music therapy to the community, but also bring all of this experience to other music therapists. So that is why we're here, and that's what we're doing the challenge. So Rochelle, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Great. Yeah. And welcome everybody. Thank you for those of you who are on the call live. We're so excited that you're here. We've had a business breakthrough challenge this last week. And so you may have participated in that. Maybe you didn't, but this whole week we've been looking at how some different things in our business to really break through and build our private practices this year. So that's what we're going to be spending time on in this webinar today. I'm super excited to do webinars like this and to run challenges because I love seeing business owners, music therapy business owners thrive. And I've been in business since I came out of my internship. I started in 2004 is when I finished my internship. And then I started my private practice right away because I was in Wichita, Kansas, and there weren't any music therapy jobs there. So I either could work in a different field or I could start a business. And so I chose starting a business. It was kind of a default option for me, but it turns out that this was a really good fit for me. I love being self-employed. I love being an entrepreneur. I love the freedom and the flexibility that comes with being my own boss, and the fact that I get to create things like this and to support other music therapists and doing your work all around the world is something that really is just exciting for me. Let's see. I'm going to look at my list of things I should say. So I did not have business training before I started my business, and through a lot of trial and error and some support from colleagues and friends and my internship director, is how I've been able to build my business. But I'd really like for you all to have a shortcut to some of the results that Mary and I have been able to see in our businesses. The music therapy business community is maturing, and so there's a lot more information and support out there now than there used to be. And so I'd like to be able to, we want to help you avoid some of the mistakes that we've made and to avoid some of the hard work of the trial and error that a lot of music therapy businesses owners have gone through in the past. In addition to having my music therapy business here in the Kansas City area, I also teach at St. Mary of the Woods College in the distance equivalency program. And then I do a lot of presenting all over the country for music therapy groups and for older adult, elder care organizations, do some consulting and things like that. And our local practice here in Kansas City is focused on older adults. We mostly contract in senior living and hospice and with elder care organizations. But we're really trying in this next year to build up the private practice side of our business and to see more private clients, private pay for music therapy in their homes. So that's something that we're working on. We're very much on the ground level on that here. Mary has much more experience with private clients. And in fact, Mary was in Rock That Contract a few years ago to learn about how to build contracts in her business. And so we formed this partnership because we have these very different businesses that fit together. And of course, we really like collaborating with each other too. So really excited to get to bring you into the conversations that we get to have about business and stuff as well. Okay, so let's talk about the challenge. So we had the Biz Breakthrough Challenge this week. It started on Monday. We've had 5 steps to growing your business in 2019, right at the beginning of a new year. So this is a great time to get things done and to get things going. We started out by focusing on your values and your vision, just getting really clear on why you're in business, why you're doing this, what you want to accomplish in your business. knowing that none of us have the exact same values, none of us have the exact same vision for what we want our business to look like. And it was really cool getting to see everybody share these very different pictures of what we want our music therapy businesses to look like. And for me, just looking at those as a whole, what the world would be like if we had music therapy businesses of all these different shapes and sizes all over our country, all over the world. I can just think about all of the clients who are going to be able to access services and the families who are going to get helped, and the community organizations and all these different places that will have access to music therapy. And I don't know, it kind of gives me shivers. I get really excited about that. So we did values and vision, and then we went into some of the feeling kinds of things. Made some art. We reflected on our feelings around things like your values and your vision, and also topics like money and work-life balance, and some of these bigger topics that can bring up the big feelings that we have to acknowledge and honor and work through to be able to get back to the work of doing business. And then today we boiled it all down to one word, a theme word for the year. And it was fun this morning to see those popping up in our Facebook group, to see all the different words that people are using as their themes. So we've been focusing on your vision, your values, kind of these hard to pin down concepts and a lot of things, these big picture things. Now we're going to be narrowing it back down and getting into action. So the whole point of this webinar is to start taking action towards that vision in service of those values, acknowledging those feelings, so that you can really take some steps forward in your business.
Okay, so we are ready to... Sorry.
Answer the phone.
It's one of those things where your phone is connected to your computer and then you forget that happens. So sorry. Yeah. We are going from the challenge and we're translating all the things that we've done. We're moving into action. We are getting confident, and we are talking about 3 things today. We got 3 key points that we really want to go through and discuss. So the first one that we're going to be talking about is our number 1 secret to having confident conversations with potential clients and referral sources. We noticed throughout the week that confidence was really one of those key issues that keeps coming up over and over again. So we're going to spend some time talking about how to break through that. And then our second thing we're going to discuss is 3 mistakes to avoid when advertising your services. So we want to make sure that you're spending your energy in all the right places when it comes to getting the word out. And finally, we are going to be talking about 2 powerful money management tips for financial stability. And really, this is a foundation that's going to set you up for success and propel you into the future. So let's get right to it. And Rochelle, I think we're going to talk a little bit about this. So tell us, what is your number 1 confident conversation secret?
Yes. First of all, I just want to normalize the whole confidence thing. I've been in business for 14 and a half years now, and I still get nervous before meetings with prospective clients, with prospective referral partners. Nervous and excited. Sometimes that feels the same in our body. You feel just this anticipation of something really good could happen here, or maybe something won't happen. Maybe I'll get rejected. Those feelings can come up too. So if you feel like you're not confident when it comes to having conversations with prospective clients, just know that you're not alone. I'm sure Mary could say too that you don't always feel the confidence, right? And it's easy to look at us on this computer screen after we've planned all of this and put everything together and think, oh, well, they know what they're doing and I don't. Believe me, I've been in those shoes. And since we have folks here on the chat, I just wanted to ask you all there, how are you feeling in terms of confidence? Like, is confidence something that you feel like you have, or is it something that you struggle with? When do you feel more confident, less confident? Type that into the chat and we'll bring that into our conversation here. So something that's really key in feeling confident is to be prepared before you have a conversation. And one of the best ways to get prepared to have a conversation with a prospective client or prospective referral partner is to get into their head and speak their language. You need to know what that person, what's important to them, what their struggles are, what language they use to describe their struggles, or the problems that the prospective client has. And you need to be able to use that vocabulary. One of the big mistakes that I see is people using like very clinical language and academic language, the kind of language that we use in school. When you're interacting with clients, that's just going to feel awkward. and if that's your default, which it probably is, since that's what we practice so much in school, then you have to practice a little bit to get out of that way of speaking with people so that you can speak more in layman's terms and break things down into language that doesn't have a lot of jargon. I don't know, like with music therapy, sometimes I think that we don't have a lot of jargon because everybody knows what music is and things like that. But some things that we talk about are concepts that people don't really understand. Like if we're talking about harmony and dynamics and, you know, even beyond that, once we start talking about brain structures and, you know, physical functioning and things like that, it's going to be a little bit for the people that we're working with sometimes, and that can increase their anxiety, which can increase your anxiety, then you have this very tense conversation. Mm-hmm. So my tip then, my number one tip is to practice speaking their language and to get familiar with the vocabulary that they use. I don't know, Mary, do you have any good resources for how to do that?
Well, I was just thinking right now about a couple of examples that just immediately popped into my mind and experiences that I've had. And this is, there is a program here in Texas that is a mental health program for preteens, teens, and they have all of this different language. You may or may not be familiar with what they call, it's like a yes waiver program and the term wraparound and some of these things in mental health. And they all refer to themselves as the RAP coordinators. And so yesterday, one of those RAP coordinators was in at our center, and we didn't know she was coming. It was unexpected. And so she introduces herself, and she's like, "Oh, I'm the case manager." So she immediately took that language and attempted to translate it into something more. I was like, in my mind though, because I already knew the terms, I was like, case manager? RAP coordinator? She goes, oh yeah. Nope, not everyone understands the language, right? Mm-hmm. And so we connected just by knowing how one another talk to each other. So that's one example. And then another example, I know for a fact that I've been able to obtain some school district work just by being able to speak the language that the people in school districts speak, because they have, again, all of this jargon, you know, IEP and ARD and this and that. And so there's all of these different terms and acronyms that they use all the time. And I've definitely been able to connect with them by being able to speak that back, and the experience that I've had in the past in working for schools.
Right.
To mind.
Yeah, that's great. So, so getting to know our particular niches is important too, so that you can speak that language. I think, you know, when we have private clients come to us, they might be really tired of explaining a diagnosis. And so it's important that you know what that diagnosis is. But then also, we don't want to be in a position of correcting somebody for, like, if somebody comes to me and we get lots of people that have dementia of various kinds. They might tell me that somebody has Alzheimer's, but it might not really be Alzheimer's. Or maybe they say they have Alzheimer's, but they don't have dementia or something like that. You have to be able to hear that language and reflect it back to them in a way that is accurate, but that doesn't like correcting them in a school marmish kind of way. Anyway, that's kind of getting us off track. But yeah, so in terms of being confident, I think it's important to speak the person's language. Now, I wanted to go over here to the chat because we had some people, so putting stuff in here. So from Jennifer, I'm an introvert, so initiating the first conversation is always very challenging. Oh, I feel a bonus tip coming on, I'm pretty sure. Okay, from Emily, it depends on the day and who. I'm very confident talking to parents calling in for individual sessions. I'm confident in my rates and where I'm at with that. The contracts are a whole different ballgame. Initial contact, I'm okay-ish, but it's the follow-through process and I'm extremely uncomfortable with. Yeah, uncomfortable with follow-through. You're not alone in that. In fact, in the courses we teach in Rock That Practice and Rock That Contract, we talk a lot about follow-up and follow-through and how to get over some of those barriers. Brittany said, the imposter syndrome hinders my confidence. So that's that little voice in your head that says, you don't know what you're doing. You are making this all up. Nobody believes music therapy is a real thing, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we all have that. We all have that little voice. And so it's important to know that that's there, but that does interfere with confidence. Sarah said, I feel like I'm confident explaining what music therapy is, how it could help someone, but when it comes to talking about getting into a client-therapist relationship or starting a contract with the business, that's when I lose my confidence. Okay, so it's more the mechanics of the business relationship and not being familiar enough with that might be hindering your confidence. Amy said she did a free improv workshop a while back that was really fun and addressed confidence. That's cool. And then let's see, Jennifer said, part of the hesitation is not being really confident in where I am in business. I don't have it all together yet. I need work, but I have limited hours. I want work, want to pick and choose. Yes, the mechanics of the business relationship. So here's my bonus tip for you. You're going to get 2 tips. So the first tip was to speak the language of your potential clients. The second tip is to practice, rehearsal. I also teach about marketing for introverts. And one of the key things that introverts are really good at is rehearsal. You know what else? Musicians are really good at rehearsal too, because we've done that for a lot of our lives, right? Practicing. So we all have that skill to rehearse, to practice. So practice these things. Practice having that business conversation, describing the mechanics of your contract or describing your payment plan, explaining your written agreement to somebody who isn't actually a potential client, but who can maybe give you some feedback on how you do that. Practice making your offer in the mirror. Look at yourself in the mirror and offer yourself music therapy services in that confident way. When you practice that, you're going to feel more confident. You're going to feel more confident. So that's a really important tip too. We do a lot of practicing and Rock That Practice as well. That's part of what we use our group calls for, is to give us that opportunity to practice the language, because it's new. It's a new skill for all of us who have not been in business before. Yeah. Great. Well, thank you all.
I think I found by practicing, my practice wasn't meant necessarily like behind closed doors. My practice when I'm and still am growing my business is always that like in the moment, like I'm doing this, and that repetition I think is that much more powerful because it's live and it's happening. And yeah, I've bombed some phone conversations or some meetings, but what you take away from that can be more valuable in the end.
True. And I think it's important for us all to acknowledge that I highly doubt that anybody on this call or who's listening to this recording is at your core going to do something that will insult or damage somebody else in an initial conversation, right? Like, we're all good people here, and you're probably not going to make a mistake big enough that you're going to ruin somebody's life. So don't be afraid of making mistakes. The worst thing that could happen is that you lose a sale, right? But maybe you don't get the information across as effectively as possible. But more than likely, the people are still going to leave that conversation with a positive impression of you and of music therapy. So I think you can set that fear to the side as well.
Absolutely.
Great. Okay. So confidence is huge, and confidence is something that we saw a lot in our group, that we hear about a lot from participants in Rock That Practice and courses that we teach. So we wanted to bring that up for sure today. Now, another question that we hear a lot in Facebook groups, in Rock That Practice, and just by being business people in the music therapy community, a very frequent question is about advertising. Advertising is a very specific marketing tactic out of a whole wide range of marketing tactics. And we cover a ton in Rock That Practice, but we wanted to focus in on advertising today because we see a lot of questions about that. So Mary, you have experience with some advertising. So I want to hear what some mistakes are to avoid when it comes to advertising your services.
Okay. So there's a whole bunch to avoid, but I think that the very first one kind of goes back to our speaking the language tip that we just talked about. The mistake is not refining your message, right? Not really knowing who it is that you want to speak to. And if you don't know who you're speaking to, if you don't know what your goal is and what your target is, then you're not going to hit it. Like, that's just, you don't know where you're aiming, you can't hit it. So before you can even start with any advertising, you really have to know what your message is. So that's why, in our challenge and in Rock That Practice, we spent a lot of time talking about, what are our values and who it is that we want to serve and who is our ideal client. We need to know all of those things so that we can know where that we can spend our efforts with our advertising. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't yet that time doing that foundation work, then do that. And then you can look at the next step for your advertising. Mm-hmm. You'll bring in the people that you want to attract. Another thing is picking the wrong venues. I can't tell you how many times I've had people, sometimes I humor them, or I really do want to know more about what they do in case in the future it does become a good venue for me. But I've had lots of people, in my office asking me, we have this publication and this is the neighborhood that it serves, and you can sign up and you get a feature, and it's this much for the year, and where you go on our website and here's all the benefits that you get. And then I really have to look at, like, is this venue, again, going back to my messaging, going to reach my target audience? And so there are places that I have spent money with putting the word out there because I know that I'm going to reach the people that I want to reach. And then some of these others that come in, I'm like, no, this is kind of very, I don't know. Has anybody here ever seen music therapy on a billboard? But that's like a pretty obvious one. Like, we wouldn't be putting our services most likely on that, although that's a thought. But picking the right venues is certainly.
I have a good example of that, actually. Uh-huh. And like you said, once people find out that you're in business, once your business is registered, then you'll start getting calls from diligent sales professionals who are doing their job of selling advertising. So good for them. I have been invited to take out an ad in like a lifestyle magazine. So one of those fancy glossy magazines like Leawood Lifestyle in our area, one of the suburbs, or Downtown Living, magazines like that are local to the city and really are meant to be fancy advertising brochures, I think. And I've taken those meetings and I've heard the pitch, and then how expensive it is compared to what the return is that I think I'll get doesn't quite match up. So you have to, it's tempting to be like, this could be the solution. If I just spend, $500 a month on this magazine, then I'm going to get all these clients. Well, I've never had the money to gamble on that, to try it, but it wouldn't have a narrow enough target for me, probably. Another good example is that the Students Against Drunk Driving from the high school near me contacted me, an advertising agency on their behalf contacted me about sponsoring their t-shirts for the year. And I really liked the idea of sponsoring Students Against Drunk Driving, except we work with older adults, and probably not a whole lot of older adults would see that advertisement. And so from a cost benefit analysis, it didn't really make sense. So I think sometimes there's a temptation to throw money out there because you really just want clients, and you think, maybe if I just throw some money out there, then they're going to come to me. But if you pick the wrong venues, you might just have the wrong people seeing your message. Mm-hmm. And what's the third mistake you got, Mary?
The third one is not being able to track your results.
Speaking of return on investment.
Mm-hmm, exactly. You need to know if you are getting a return, if you're bringing in clients as a result of this action that you're taking. Otherwise, it's doing you no good. So I think one of the ways that we like to do that at our center is that in our intake paperwork, it's very simple. Just in the second line, it says, how did you hear about us? And they have a few choices. They can check them. So when we go back through, we can look and see exactly what it is that's working and exactly where we want to put more of our resources and our energy and the money, where we want to put that into.
Mm-hmm. Another way that you can do that is by putting a special link in your ad, or some kind of a coupon code. Coupon code doesn't always work for us, but some kind of a like a special download or something, and then you would know that anybody who goes to that link saw it in that particular ad. Mm-hmm. So that's another way that you can track how many people visit your website after they see an ad, and then you would be able to find out from there how many people the ad converts into, or the website converts into clients, and that kind of information can help you. Yeah.
So let's talk here a little bit, shall we? And see, like, have you guys tried certain things that have worked or not worked? What has your experiences been?
Yeah, let's hear that in the chat. While you're chatting in there, one thing, I do see a lot of confusion about advertising versus marketing. Sometimes people use those phrases interchangeably. So here's another piece of basic business information that I didn't learn until, I don't know, 5 years into business. So advertising is specifically when you are putting your message out into the world kind of in a passive way, like you put your message out there and then wait for things to come into you. Versus marketing, that fits under the umbrella of marketing. So advertising is one piece of marketing, but there's lots of other ways that you can get your message out into the world besides advertising. When ads, you have to pay some money to somebody, and then they put your logo or they put your message into a particular venue. But you can also do marketing by participating in events, by having a blog, by sending out a newsletter, by networking with potential referral sources, things like that. So advertising may not be the most effective place to start. So it may be that you want to focus on a different area of marketing first. I can say that for me personally, I think I've spent a grand total of probably less than $100 on ads in my 14 years of business. Because to this point, I've had more time than money. So take that for what it's worth. All right. So from Brittany, she said, so far just word of mouth, referrals. Let's see. Referrals from the nursing facility she contracts with. Continue to debate on running a commercial on our local radio station, which is mostly adults and older adults who listen to this in our rural area. I'm scared to take the financial risk. I totally understand that. And I think always a matter of weighing the risk versus the potential reward. Like if you really don't have the money, then don't do it. If you maybe have the money, or maybe the money would be better spent somewhere else, it might be worth the test, Jennifer said, I don't recall that I've ever done any kind of advertising. Right. Amy's never paid for ads, but going to events is a great way to connect with people. Sarah said, I have a Facebook page, website, business cards, going to a networking group. Yeah, so those are all good things to do marketing-wise that are not advertising. That's not advertising.
This is what Emily says is very interesting. A year of advertising on Yelp was the biggest waste of my money. They couldn't even categorize me right, so it didn't target the right people. Absolutely the highest reason I've had people come to me is someone else telling them, so word of mouth. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so that sucks that you wasted a year worth of advertising dollars, but it is a lesson learned, right? Mm-hmm. So those word of mouth referrals, cultivating word of mouth referrals, is probably the most powerful marketing tactic I've heard from other music therapists. Would you agree with that, Mary?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, that's something we talk about a lot in the videos we do in Rock That Practice, because it's such a powerful way of connecting with potential clients, but it can also be a little bit intimidating for people too. Cool. Oh, and Amy says, I do pay for my website. That's advertising. Yeah, I don't know. it could be called advertising, I guess. Okay, word of mouth. Cool. So let's move on to our third topic.
One of my favorite topics is systems.
Yes.
I love systems so much. There are tons of systems that you can implement into your business. And today we are specifically going to talk about the financial systems that we use in our business. And what are those tips that you have for us, Rochelle?
Yeah, so there were all kinds of feelings about money that have come up this week, right? And I encourage you to think about money in one of those videos. And then I felt a little bit bad afterwards because I thought maybe it was putting people in a bad place and feeling a little bit anxious or intimidated or overwhelmed. So we wanted to give you some financial systems tips that will help you feel more confident again, about money in your business. Okay, so money is a tool. It does not have value attached to it. Money is a tool. So you need the tool to do the things you need to do in your life, right? And to run your business well, to grow your business. So we wanted to give you 2 powerful financial management tips. One of these is very basic, and the other one is a little bit advanced. Okay. Yeah, Emily said, seriously, what's wrong with you? I'm sorry for bringing up money, but it's really important. We don't talk about it in our business community often enough. And as I said in that video, if we don't talk about these things, it can hold us back without us even acknowledging it. See, I can justify my video. Okay. So the first very basic money management tip is to have a separate business checking account. Please chime in the chat with whether or not you have a business checking account yet, okay? Because this, for me, this was the drawing a line in the sand. I have a real business now when I opened up my business account. Depending on where you live, when I lived in Kansas, I didn't have to have anything. I just went to the bank and said, I have a business. I want to open an account, and they did that. In Missouri, I had to have a fictitious name registration, I think, to be able to open a business account. But it's really easy. And then you can keep your business money and your business expenses separate from your household or family expenses. Even for a single person, it's very helpful to separate those things so that you can see your business growing and you can deal with your personal stuff separately. So yes, Brittany has one, Emily has one from the beginning, Tiffany has one, Jennifer has one. It's okay if it's mostly empty, that's okay. As long as you're not get a free checking account. But I recommend regional banks, local and regional banks, because they tend to give you a free business checking account. Amy says, it's wonderful to have a separate account. Sarah says, yes. Okay, here's a question of, I haven't really started a business yet, one group every 6 weeks. You can usually, and she says, where does the money to start such an account come from? You can usually start an account with nothing. I mean, my business account can be at 0, and it is more often than I would prefer. So that's okay. Just find a business account that's free. And I think if you're intending to grow your business, that you need to have a business account.
And if you are, one thing that you can do is just, even if it is no requirement, you can take, $100 of your own money and put it in there and say, this is what I'm using to start the business, right?
Yeah, this is my owner's contribution to my business. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And Molly said it was a necessity because she has a business partner, and so it makes it much easier to track your expenses and income in one place. Yeah, definitely. If you have a business partner, you definitely need a business account, right? Mm-hmm. So that's your really basic financial tip. And I'm glad that lots of people have that set up, but you do need that. So for our more advanced financial management tip, what do you got, Mary?
We want to always make sure that we have a way to track all of that stuff that's coming in and out. So it's a system, right? The advanced language is profit loss statement. But all that means is how much money did you take in total and how much money did you spend out? And this should be tracked on a monthly basis. So really one of the things where you can track your numbers and know the health of your business, and know which direction you are headed in, is by making sure you're running those numbers every single month. And there's a ton of different systems that you can use. There are free systems, there are inexpensive systems, there are more expensive systems, a whole range of things. So when I first started out, I used for and I still payroll. I still actually do use Wave payroll, but they also have a profit loss report statement. So I use that. All connects to my bank, and everything goes in, and it gets categorized, and it turns out beautifully in the end. And as I've grown, I needed to have someone else do that task for me, so I hired it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had an interesting set of experiences around this too. So for the first probably 10 years of my business, I did everything in an Excel spreadsheet. Income and expenses, I had 2 different sheets that I tracked those on, and then gave that to my accountant at the end of the year. And then I used QuickBooks for a long time, and I was using QuickBooks on my own. And in QuickBooks, you can generate your profit and loss report, and it will show you how much you've spent in different areas. It'll show you your gross revenue and your net revenue at the end. It'll show you what your profit is. Those are all important numbers to get familiar with, especially when those numbers are small. You need to figure out what they are and understand that. So then when your business becomes bigger and more complex, that you can still make sure that you're making an adequate profit for the amount of work that you're putting in. To make sure that if you want to get to the point where you hire, you need to make sure that you're going to have the margin there that you can hire somebody and still continue to make a profit. So that's why it's important to get to know those financial statements. Like Mary, I've eventually moved towards outsourcing bookkeeping. And so I use a service for that, I send them my bank statements, and then they categorize all the expenses for me. And so then I can look at my profit and loss report or my income statement that shows how much money came in, how much money went out, what categories it's in. And that can help me to make decisions about, I'm spending a lot, maybe I'm spending a lot of money on my website, but it's not actually bringing in any business. So maybe I should put less money there. Or I'm spending, I keep my expenses really low. I'm having hard trouble coming up with an example. Or I'm spending a lot of money on mileage. Like I'm spending hundreds of dollars every month on driving. I got to figure out how to reduce the amount of miles I drive. That kind of thing can be really helpful too. And so for me, having all these numbers in this report helps me to take out the emotion, helps me to take out the anxiety a little bit, because numbers are neutral, right? Money is neutral. This is just fact in front of me. And so I can look at that and make decisions and set goals based on that. Last year, it took me an entire year to outsource bookkeeping. And the first 3 people I hired did not do a good job. And so I went like the whole year of 2017 without having my books up to date. I knew how much was coming in, but I wasn't very clear on how much was going out. So I felt like I was making decisions kind of blind, which I do not like and definitely don't recommend. And it's amazing how much more confident I feel now that I can look at my books and see this is what I've been spending. I did pretty well last year making good decisions, thank goodness. But now I feel even more informed and empowered to make good financial decisions moving forward to continue growing my business. Yeah, we've got some stuff in our chat over here. Okay, so Tiffany says she deposits all of her music therapy checks into a business account and you exclusively use that for instruments and other business expenses. Yeah. And then from Amy, I do need to do a better job at profit and loss tracking. Deep breaths. Yes, it is more work, especially as your business grows. But if you start developing good habits when your business is really small, it'll be better to continue those habits when your business gets bigger. And then it will also allow you to do more complicated things like get into business models that aren't hours for dollars. that's a really advanced concept, so I won't dig too much deeper into that right now. But that's why it's important to get familiar with your financial statements, particularly the income statement or P&L, profit and loss, goes all by those different names.
Yeah, I will say that now that I've gotten consistent about getting those numbers every month, I actually look forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's me nerding out, but I actually get kind of excited because I get to see like how I did. I kind of have it in my mind, but actually seeing what the results are makes it. I don't know. It's anticipating. I anticipate seeing like, woo, how good can I do this month? It's very
Yeah.
motivating.
Yeah. My first few years of business, I think I doubled my revenue from my first year to my second year, which was going from like, I don't know, $5,000 to $10,000 or something like that. It might've been better than that, but but it was so exciting to be like, look, I doubled my number. This last year, the thing that was really exciting for me is that we lost a contract last March. That was 20% of our revenue. And so I thought that our total revenue for the year was going to be much lower than last year because of losing this big contract. And it turns out that we made about the same as from 2017 to 2018. I was expecting a loss. I would have preferred a gain, right? But most years we see an increase, but it stayed the same. So I was really excited about that. So it actually, like you said, it makes me much more excited for 2019 to see how the work is paid off. I will also say that music therapists tend to get a lot of kudos from CPAs when it comes to tax time, because as a group, we're pretty good at keeping our expenses low. So you can look forward to that conversation with your accountant when they say, good for you, keeping your expenses low. Okay. Let's see. Emily shared her story here. She said that she started with her own Excel spreadsheets. She uses QuickBooks desktop version, and then still have some spreadsheets with things like how much you expect each month versus how much should come in and how much was actually paid. Yeah, so there's lots of different numbers to track depending on your business. Amy says she spends most of her money on ongoing training. You love continuing ed. Yes, we are soulmates in that way, Amy. Okay. Yeah. And then Molly says she has a business partner, so you had to work out percentages that would go to the owners versus the business. Yeah, so it gets complicated. Okay, so a question from Tiffany that we can answer real quick. Mention things we should be tracking that we might not think of. That's a good question. What's on your list, Mary, of things to track that you might forget?
I don't know. I pretty much track all the things. So let's see, what do I track? I'm tracking, well, since I have a team, I'm carefully tracking the payroll numbers, and I'm definitely tracking marketing events, tracking, because we have a center, mileage is not a thing that I do, but that's an important thing that music therapists who travel should be tracking. Expenses. So this is one that I have to watch myself on, is expenses associated, well, kind of like Amy with continuing ed, because it is so much fun to buy new courses and develop our skill set. The other thing is software-based businesses. I get really excited, as I mentioned earlier, about systems. And so, I have a system for managing email, and I have a system for like the bookkeeping. And so I have all of these monthly recurring charges, and I really have to evaluate closely, like, are those things that I'm using? And if not, I need to cancel the ongoing charge, right? Or, maybe I am using it and I'm getting great benefit out of it and I keep doing it. So that's what I can think of. What about you?
Yeah. Another big area for deductions is a home office expense. Mm-hmm. If you have a home office, there's a lot of rules around that. So this is when it's really good to talk to your CPA. But like in my case, my home office is about 1/3 of our square footage. So that means I can deduct about 30% of all of our house expenses that include the office, if that makes sense. So if I paint the bedroom, I can't deduct that, but a third of the mortgage, a third of our gas bill, a third of the electric bill, a third of the water bill is deductible every month. And so that definitely helps out at tax time. The other thing I think a lot of people forget, you want to get in the habit of using your business checking account to buy mailing, like postage and envelopes and things like that you might need to use for your business. You also want to make sure you're deducting, the thought just went out of my head. Even if you have a clinic space, you're still going to be doing some business driving, even if it's just to the post office and back, or out to buy supplies, or driving to a conference. And so you do want to make sure you're tracking business miles, because that can add up really fast. Oh, and I remember, if you have a subscription to Spotify or iTunes, something like that you use in your work, then that can be deductible too, because those are materials expenses. Again, Mary and I are not CPAs, so make sure that you talk with your tax professional about all of this. I highly recommend getting a CPA, because they can usually help you find deductions that you don't know about. But as a business owner, that's one of the perks, is that we can deduct all of that stuff. And so that can help you out with finances going forward. Cool. Okay, we have some more financial questions tonight, so I think we're going to come back to that when we get to the Q&A part, because I'm seeing it's already at 1:47. We have so much to talk about. Oh, and there's just so much to cover when it comes to business, right? Because we don't learn all this stuff in school. And so most of us are probably new to business when we get started as music therapy business owners. And so I want to talk to you all about Rock That Practice, which is the business course that Mary and I teach together. This is our third time that we're opening up a group cohort for this program. So we've had several people who've been through this. Amy Standridge, who's here, is one of the people who's gone through this program. We want to tell you a little bit about Rock That Practice and what you can expect from this program, and give you the opportunity to consider whether this is something that is going to support you in your work moving forward in 2019 and growing your business, because we can go a lot deeper on all of these topics. Oh, Brittany too. Yes, Brittany's here. Okay, so we can go a lot deeper on all kinds of topics in business, and so we want to give you a little bit of an idea of what Rock That Contract is all about, or Rock That Practice is all about. So Rock That Practice is designed for you if you want to get private clients in your business. There's a separate course called Rock That Contract. So if you're really focused into wanting to get nursing home contract or something like that, we'll do that course later on this year. This one is focused on getting private clients. And what you're going to get from this course is the confidence to start putting some basic business tools into effect. You're going to learn how to identify your ideal client and to do market research, so you can find out more about who these folks are and how to reach them and how they're going to pay for your services. Then you're going to learn about marketing and sales, how to identify those prospects and then turn them into clients if that's what's appropriate for them. So we'll go over all of those marketing techniques that we've been mentioning, content marketing and networking and events and presentations, all those different things. We take a deep dive into those most effective tactics for marketing a private practice, give you everything that we know about those things, and then a lot of support as you start to implement those techniques. Then in our third module, we talk about systems, like all the different systems you can use in your business. Financial systems are one, but we also talk about calendar systems and payment methods and goal setting systems and all these different documentation, all these different pieces that you need to have in your business to run your business, your practice successfully. So I just saw that Mimi said I make no income from my endorsement. That's really funny. So the whole arc of this course is designed to give you this basic business knowledge that you need in a group coaching format. So that will give you the support that you need to learn this material and to start putting it into effect. The truth is that everybody's situation is going to be a little bit different. And so rather than giving you a course and saying, okay, go forth in the world and hope that everything works out exactly as we've described it. Instead, we want to provide you with continuing support as you begin implementing this stuff, so that when you hit a wall or something doesn't work out quite as you expect it, then we can help you to figure it out, right? Okay, so Mary's going to tell you a little bit about how the course is structured and exactly how things work.
Right. So this is like just the nuts and bolts of how everything is put together. So the modules and the training that Rochelle was talking about, that's all found in like a centrally located online place hub. It's a soundscaping source. And so you'll be able to log in and access all of the trainings that we do. And the awesome news is those are there for you forever. So it's a lifetime access with those things, because we know that in our businesses, when we're making progress in one area, in the first 3 months of the year, we're going to be making progress in a different area towards the end of the year. So having those things to come back to and review as you need them is very, very powerful. One story that I tell is that I was originally a student of Rochelle's in Rock That Contract. And so I don't know, I took the course, I did all of the things, I learned this material, and it was probably a year later, I was like, oh, I need that form or whatever material it was. And I was like, oh, I have it. I can go back and get it. So it was fantastic to have that lifetime access to the materials. When Rochelle was talking about support, this is one of my favorite components of the program, because we offer we're change it up a little bit this round, but we're going to do 4 small group coaching calls for this program. And so every 2 to 3 weeks, we'll all get on a call together, kind of like we are now, only our participants will have a much more active role, and we really get to dig deep into the things you're going through, like right then and right there. So that support is fantastic as you're going through and building your business. You're going to have a private coaching option. So both Rochelle and I own, Rochelle's a Soundscaping Source, MT Insider, and mine is Music Therapy Kids. And part of those programs are access to us, so that when you need a laser focused conversation about this thing that came up today, you can go onto our call link and you can just click and schedule a call, and we can talk about it and get that resolved for you. So those are parts of our membership programs, but because it's kind of coming later, but there's a bonus that you get is access to those. So the other thing is really great is the done for you materials. I would have loved if someone had already done my intake paperwork for me and all the forms that I use, different assessment forms, as you're getting your practice started, and not having to recreate all of that from scratch. I would have loved to have that. So that's another level of support that we're providing you through the program. So again, the bonuses are 2 months membership to MT Insider and 2 months membership to Music Therapy Kids Club. All the things and resources that we have made and just provided for our respective niches that we serve, that's in there. Plus you get the individual support from us as well.
Yeah. So we really want you to feel all of our support. We want you to feel confident in moving forward with your business. We want you to know that you have the skills to be in business, to explain the mechanics of your business, and to make a bold offer of your services to potential clients. We want you to know that you have resources to come back to when you need to do something in your business that you haven't done before. So if you need a form to draw on, or you have a question to ask, we're committed to providing that to you. So we want you to have that confidence. We want you to be able to build a strong and sustainable practice for years to come. That's going to help you to live up to those values that you defined earlier this week. That's going to help you grow towards that vision that you have for your business. And we're delivering this in the form of Rock That Practice, which is this group coaching program. And you can find all the details that we've been talking about at rockthatpractice.com. Its enrollment is open now, and it includes, when you enroll in this program, just to repeat this again. It includes the online training, so the video trainings, 4 small group coaching calls, private time with me and Mary on coaching calls, one central place where you have everything that you need, the done for you materials, the trainings, the templates, the call recordings, the schedules, everything else is all in one place. We have a supportive Facebook group just for participants in this program. And we have the done for you materials, policies, forms. Mary has her entire employee handbook inside this course.
Yeah.
So there is
about that.
tons of amazing resources in this course. That's going to save you many hours in creating this. You also do get CMTE credits for this. That number varies a little bit depending on how much time we spend on coaching calls, but it's going to be more than 10. I think last time around it was 14 CMTEs is what it came out to. And all of this, you get all of these things for $497. Now I'll tell you that for me, private coaching, if you're to do one private coaching call with me, it's $175. So if you consider the number of private calls that you get to have, the amount of group coaching that you get to have, the support that you get from your colleagues through this program, it's a really good deal. It just is. It's a really good deal. And you get to learn this all in a linear way and get support in implementing it as you go through. Now, I have more for you because we want to give you a reason to take decisive action and to consider this course now and decide whether it's going to be right for you moving forward. So if you are interested in Rock That Practice and you join by Sunday at midnight, then you get to have our fast action bonus. So you got, according to this clock here, you got 3 days and 10 hours left at the time we're recording this. The fast action bonus, if you join by midnight, then you will have access to a promotional material review. This has a $175 value, and either Mary or I, your choice, you send us a marketing piece, and then we'll do a video review of that for you. So people will send me their website, and I'll go through it, click through things, and point out typos is one thing, but also give you suggestions on how to improve your copy or how to improve design to make things flow a little bit better. You can benefit from all the hard lessons that we've learned on how to create effective marketing materials for music therapy. So that fast action bonus is available if you join by Sunday at midnight. So there you go. That is Rock That Practice, and we have a limited number of spots available. Since this is a group coaching program, we do have to limit the numbers. So if this is something you're interested in, please ask us any questions here on the chat here, and or if you're listening to this later, you probably got this in an email, and you can just respond to that email or ask in the challenge group, and we'd love to fill you in on what you can get out of Rock That Practice and how we can help you through this program. We really want you to feel comfortable knowing that is the right decision for you. So if you have any questions at all, let us know, and we'll help you figure that out. Am I missing anything, Mary?
Yeah. No, we want to support you. We want you to enroll. We want your business to grow.
Yeah. Okay. And this is one of my favorite things that I get to do in my business is these group coaching calls, and these Rock That Practice program, Rock That Contract program are really great. Okay, so there is a question here of all the paper resources in Rock That Contract. Rock That Contract's a slightly different program. I'm not sure from your screen name near here who you are. So if you'd reach out to me, I can talk to you a little bit more about the differences between those programs. Send me an email. Okay. So we are right at 2 o'clock. So if you need to get off the phone at the end of an hour, that's fine. But we have about 15 more minutes that we can stay on the line. Yes, and we also need to draw the winner of our free spots.
Yeah.
Valerie, okay, Valerie. Send me an email, Valerie, and I can talk to you a little bit more about that. Okay. Okay. Free spot. Okay, Amy, you've already taken this program. You have lifetime access. You can see it all again whenever you want. Okay, so she also didn't finish the challenge. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and draw our winner. And then for those of you who are on live, if you have questions you want to ask, go ahead and pop them into the chat. And I know we have one financial one to go back to answer. So I'm going to find that one. All right. So drum roll here. Mary, draw our winner.
Everybody has to do it.
Here's the winner.
So last time we did this and I put the Post-it notes together, the sticky sides were on the outside and that was a disaster. But I stuck them together this way to see. Can y'all see it?
Molly is the winner. Woo! Yay. And you're on the line. Yay, Molly, you won the spot. Congratulations. It'll be fun to have you in the program. Okay, cool. All right, congratulations to Molly. Yeah. All right, so let's answer some questions here, some Q's. Let's get some A's. Brittany asked, does it ask anything tax-wise to pay yourself? That is a CPA question. It depends on the structure of your business and the state that you live in. In my state, my CPA told me that I would have to have an annual revenue of at least $250,000 before it would make sense to switching to an S Corp and paying myself. So that's the guideline that I'm going by. Until then, everything's on Schedule C for me. Is it different for you in Texas, Mary?
I would have to seek counsel.
Right. Yeah. So that's a CPA question. So maybe, the answer to that is maybe. It depends on your state. Let's see. How do you determine what your paycheck will be? Well, how much do you want to make? You know, I mean, it's a matter of how much do you want to make, and then making sure that you're bringing in enough revenue and keeping your expenses low enough to do that. So that's budgeting, right? Yeah. So that, again, that's why it's important to become familiar with your financial statements and to know what you want to pay yourself, and then what you need to charge and how many clients you need to have in order to be able to make that salary.
Right. And I mean, you can only pay yourself what the numbers allow, right? So that's why we have the profit and the loss statement. But then you also want to consider not taking out every single dime that it shows as profit. You know, you don't want to pay yourself the entire amount. And when you're thinking about that, three basic categories that you want to think about are going to be what is your owner's draw? So what actually goes from your business to you? And then what amount do you want to allot to savings for your business as you grow? And then what amount should you allot to your taxes? And those are the three basic categories that you would consider with that profit number at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Emily has this tip for tax tracking. Go through all the categories listed on the Schedule C. So that comes from the IRS. You can go to the IRS website and look at the Schedule C, look through those categories, and that'll help you figure out all the things that you can deduct. Okay. All right. Okay, let's see. Yay. All right. Who else has a question? If you want to, you can unmute your video and your microphone and talk to us live too, if you have something you want to talk through. Anybody?
Oh, I have a question.
Okay.
Because I don't think you said, or maybe you did. I've been taking some notes as well, but is there a payment plan for Rock That Practice?
Yes, there is. There is a payment plan. It's $497 for a one-time payment, or you can make 3 payments of $197, and those would be once a month for 3 months. So yes, and frankly, we are pretty flexible when it comes to spreading out payments. And so if you need to spread out payments to make this work, we can do that. Just let us know. Okay. We want to make this affordable so that we can have the more strong, sustainable music therapy businesses in our world, the better that is for us and our businesses too, not to mention all the people that we're all so passionate about serving. Yep.
We did have another question.
Okay. Amy says, I'm considering an LLC, and right now I'm a sole proprietor. In the insides, it costs about $300 in my state. So this is really a CPA question too. It has to do with the tax laws in your state. I will tell you that the advice I got from the legal perspective from my attorney, I was a sole proprietor for the first 11 years of my business, I think, until I hired my first employee. And my attorney said that, as long as you're on your own, if you screw up something in your business, then they're going to sue you personally as well as your business. And so it won't help you to have your personal and business assets separated, because they would all be on the line anyway if you personally screw up. When you want to have the LLC in place is when you start bringing other people into your business. So if, for example, an employee screws something up and gets sued, or your business gets sued, then your personal assets would be protected. That's when legally an LLC starts to make more sense. But again, this is a legal question, and this is not legal advice coming from me, because I'm a therapist. So always ask a lawyer, because laws are so different from place to place. Yeah. And Amy says you get different perspectives from people, and it's cheaper to get an idea and then double check with a lawyer, but just make sure that you double check.
I can tell you that, like, going to the different perspective thing, when we had our will and all that stuff done, that lawyer, who also has the specialization to help me change my business structure should I choose, he actually gave a revenue number. So he was like, when she starts hitting this revenue number, that's when we need to make this change and to talk about these things. So
there you go. There you go. Okay. And then we have a question from Sarah about, do you have different rounds of Rock That Practice? Okay. So the thing with this is we are planning to do Rock That Practice again this summer, probably. We don't have that set in stone. So I can't guarantee that. The thing I would encourage you to consider is what you might be missing out on if you wait until the summer to try to do this. Like, I completely get financial strain, and Sarah, I think I remember some of what you've posted. So if it doesn't make sense right now, that is perfectly cool. And yes, we do plan to do this again, hopefully in the summer. But the other thing to think about is, how many new clients would it take to make up the cost of the course? For me, if we were to get 3 new private clients, that would pay for the course in a month. So if you could get 3 new private clients now instead of waiting until July, it might be worth it to do it now. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, we do plan to offer it again. Oh, okay, Amy. Amy said, Amy, maybe you should take Rock That Contract. No. She said, I got 3 new private clients since taking RTP. So there you go, Amy. You paid for the course, paid for itself. Yay for you. Oh my goodness. Yay, ta-da. Oh my goodness. We have a lot of fun in our groups, by the way. Then it's really fun when we get to see each other at conference and things like that. Like, hey, I've only seen you on the video before. Cool. All right. Other questions? Anybody? Had just a couple minutes left. Okay. As far as populations, I know we get that as a frequent question sometimes. Mary works with kids. I work with adults and older adults. So we've got a lot of experience with lots of different populations when it comes to private pay. The one big topic that we don't cover in the course is insurance reimbursement. So if you need a course on that, we can recommend that, but it's not this course. But otherwise,
about it in our individual time, because
we can talk about that in our individual time.
Yeah.
Tiffany says it's possible to actually start a business without creating an LLC. Yes, if you are taking in money and it's not as an employee, then you have a business. You're a sole proprietor. Congratulations. Yeah. So you'll want to check with your city and your state to see if you need to register your business. But I can say in the state of Kansas that I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to register my business name anywhere. I didn't have to pay any fees. All I did was say, I'm in business. And ta-da, I opened a bank account. That was it.
Mm-hmm. I paid like $25 at my county clerk office somewhere. Yeah.
Yep. You're welcome. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Thank you all for listening into this webinar and for digging into your businesses. It just thrills me to know about all of the children and adults and older adults who are going to benefit from the services that the people listening to this webinar have to offer the world. And just the music therapy love spreading around the world just gets me really excited. So check out Rock That Practice. You've got until Sunday to register to get that fast action bonus. And until next Thursday to register for the course before the doors close for this winter group cohort. We want to help you get ahead in your business and to get the business skills that you need to really grow your practice. Mm-hmm. So check out rockthatpractice.com and we will be seeing you soon.
Okay.
Ta-ta for now.
Mm-hmm. Bye.